Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the show that set social media on fire. I want to welcome you to the war zone. I got my good friend, Donovan Sadiq, my other friend, Demetri K. And tonight, we got a certified boss in the building, Terrence Skanks, president, Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, Harris County. We're going to get down to the bottom of some of this bullshiggity. Go get you some toilet paper because it's about to go down, man. Say, man, I want to welcome you guys to the war zone. Man, you know, I'm stuck up here in Houston. In a hotel. I'm downtown. And it's just like a total ghost town. I've never seen it like this. And I'm like, I book in the hotel, they put me on the 17th floor. Man, they ain't got 17 people in here. But I'm here. We talk politics some days, and as people, we talk it without substance. And in every city that you'll go to, there's some type of group or organization that caters to politics, especially African American politics. And in the city of Houston, we have a group that's like that. And I actually joined because I was very interested in learning more about politics. And it's called the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, Harris County. And tonight we have actually the president. Am I right, Terrence?
That's correct.
Okay, we have the president of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, Harris County, in the building with us, Terrence Skanks. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, blessed, man. Highly faithful.
Oh, man, we good. Can you give us a little background on Terrence? We want the people to know who Terrence really is.
Well, I'm actually from this place called Booth, Texas. Moved up to Houston about 20-some years ago. Fell up in Third Ward, Texas. Ended up in Madison High School. Graduated. Go Marlins, you know. And then my father was actually the one that actually got me involved with politics. He took me to the voting poll when I was 4 years old. That's when they had those long sheets that you would put a nice little peg through and drop it in a tin can, you know. And so since 4 years old, I've been interested in politics. But I'm a nurse by trade, MD Anderson hospital, you know, and so I'm single. No, so but you know, I just care. I care very much about the community because I live in the community, so it affects me too, you know. And so for my pocketbook issues, just like everybody else pocketbook issues, you know.
All right. Well, I mean, one, I applaud you because a lot of people don't have the courage right now to come sit in the hot seat with us. They look
Oh, wow.
for ease out. They looking for an ease out because I ask tough questions. So we're gonna get into the question and answer phase, and straight out the gate, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat. The Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, Harris County. The name tells me what it is.
Yeah.
A Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. In the last election, you had two African Americans running against an incumbent for Harris County District Attorney. You had the district attorney is Kim Ogg, she's white, and you had Carvana Cloud, as well as Adia Jones. I'm trying to figure out, how did the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats endorse a white candidate?
You know, the members of the organization, I'm gonna say the community, made that decision, you know, and you can't trump what the community wants, you know, and so forth. No matter, I mean, if you try to do it another way, then that makes it corrupt and that makes it crooked. But if you do it the right way, if you do it the way that it's supposed to be done, according to what we say, party rules and so forth, then it was done the right way. Now, the process is what a lot of people don't understand. The Democratic Party rules, because we're doing party politics. So what people don't see behind, they judge up front, you know. But the community made that decision, and we're gonna honor what the community wanted.
No,
Now, that doesn't take away from the other two candidates. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean?
qualified.
Right. Totally qualified. But in this instance, that's what the community chose.
Well, see, here's the thing that I'm getting confused about.
Hmm.
We have to follow the rules. We have to follow the policies. But when are we going to run these organizations that have the word quote unquote black in them and be totally unapologetically black? If you want to be a Hispanic and you want to represent your Hispanic heritage, there are groups
Hmm.
that are out there to do that. They also have groups that are out there that are very, very diverse. But when we put that black on these names, why
Yeah.
can't we be unapologetically black just as they are when they run their groups?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I think that we do um, we do in our policies, and as we represent ourselves, to the policy, to the party in the community, we do that. It's just that sometimes that unapologetic can be it can leave a bad taste in your mouth when you selecting candidates, because not everybody's for us that looks like us. You know,
That's true. Well,
Clarence Thomas sits on the Supreme Court. He's from Macon, Georgia.
sometimes, especially in Harris County, because I'm more familiar with Harris County than Demetri and Donovan.
Yeah.
Sometimes in Harris County, that is a true statement that you made, but it's dictated by the amount of money that somebody donates to your organization. Now, me, I go do my homework. I go
Right.
dig off in the paperwork, and I see that somewhere down that line,
Hmm.
there was some money donated by this particular candidate, and maybe it was more than what the two African Americans could actually donate. I don't
Right.
think that when we do stuff like that, we're
Hmm.
not being genuine to our people. So, I think that you're great. I've sat in my first meeting with you. I love the way
Hmm.
you conduct the meeting. You're very knowledgeable of all, the parliamentarian rules and all that. But the body of people have to clearly understand what the purpose of the organization is for. And if they don't understand that, then we're defeating the purpose. We're
Yeah.
defeating the purpose because we're supposed to uplift the black candidate through this
Yeah.
this this particular organization. But if the white candidate needs to be uplifted, they can always run over there to the top.
Yeah.
They'll pick anybody as long as you got a pocket full of money.
Yeah.
So, Demetri,
Hello there once again. And so I'm just kind of listening to you guys. And so who exactly is the community? Because you said the community actually is the ones that pick the candidates or who to endorse rather. So who makes up the community, and how is it that they come to make the choice?
Well, our members. When I say community, I say our members. Our members vote on the endorsement and screening process that's put before them by a endorsement and screening committee. And from there, that's where the candidates receives the endorsement. So we don't necessarily have control over that because people have their minds made up, but we try to make sure that the process is fair and neutral as possible by making sure that our members are our members. Now, you do have folks who probably have started working voluntarily on campaigns, and so forth. So when they do that, that's on their own time, and it's at the end of the day, it's their choice, who they want to support or not. So I can't just stand up and try to dictate that, because that would dilute the process. Can I go back to something that he said earlier about when candidates donate to organizations to help with their operations, to help with block walking, to help with phone banking, to help promote them. you know so any monies that any organization, well, I'm gonna say that we use for that purpose, but we don't use it, for any other purpose than to make sure that we register to vote or anything dealing with get out the vote purposes. Thanks.
Okay.
Let me
Mhm.
let me just
Yes, ma'am.
let me follow up with that. So, do you have a chance to talk to the community? Are you familiar with who the community is?
You mean, okay, so, well, our members do. Our members are members of the Democratic Party. They're what you call leaders
Got it.
in their particular areas. Yeah, they're precinct chairs.
So,
Yeah.
by any chance, did you maybe have your ear to the boardroom, or whenever they were making this decision to who to endorse? Did you hear the reason that they chose said candidate off over the two justice qualified black people to endorse? Did you hear their reasoning at all? Because there had to be some reasoning, I would imagine. It wasn't let's pull a name out of a hat, right?
No, I mean, there are endorsement and screening questions that they ask each of the candidates. In particular, we're focusing on that particular race. Yeah, there are questions that they ask these candidates, and from there they judge based on experience, and based on how they will be able to handle the job. Running for district attorney is not an on the job um, type of a deal. It's not like, I'm not saying you can't put somebody there and they wouldn't be ready day one. It's just that when you talk about the justice system, for example, and the mass incarceration, you definitely need somebody who knows how to get in and out of the different politics that goes on with the judicial system.
One more question and I'll
Yes,
concede
ma'am.
the floor. Okay, so with that, so she's a district attorney, right?
Ma'am.
Now, all of us sitting here, we are a Black African American, however you want to describe yourself. Now, we know that district attorneys are not always good to us as Black people. Out here in California, the county that we live in, the district attorney is very, I think they have like a 97 conviction rate of African Americans, and the DA. The DAs are very adverse to the Black community. And so when I hear that a Black organization has endorsed a white DA, to me that's kind of problematic, because I know if I'm in trouble or I know somebody's in trouble, I want to go in there, perhaps see a Black DA who may, I'm not saying they always do, but may be able to understand where I'm coming from, especially if I'm innocent. So I'm just a little confused on how she, now I get it, it's not an on-the-job training type of thing, you want the best qualified, but if we're a Black organization, wouldn't we want somebody who's going to represent us?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. We almost say it's a shame, but in some instances, we look at our candidates but we make sure that we screen and endorse them the same, because we can't afford to have anyone there that definitely is going to do anything different than what our mission statement is. And so when you look at the candidate and you might say, well, she's a white candidate, but you have to look at the work that this particular district attorney, has been doing. Yes. Is it a work in progress? Yes, it is, but work is being done. Okay. It's probably not the best, but what I'm saying is we have bail reform now. We do have that. We have misdemeanors. We have guys that are getting, not guys, I'm sorry. We have our citizens or individuals who are getting citations instead of being put in jail. The population, of the jail burst versus our population here in Houston and the county alone is a lot lower than what it has been before. Now, am I attributing that to her or the district attorney? For example, I'm saying there's a lot of factors that involve, and she's included, and the district attorney is included in that.
Okay, all right. I have a question in regards. So basically, you guys operate as like super delegates on the national level, where you guys could sit there and say, okay, this person's qualified versus that. Now, and I've kind of had some experience with this. How can, if you
Mhm.
don't have a law degree, and
Uh-huh.
I'm a super delegate or I'm on that board that's going to vet this candidate to be a DA, what gives me the qualification to say this person's going to be good on law reform and all this other stuff? So basically, it just seems to me it's a wild, wild west. So my question basically is, if I'm not qualified because I'm not a lawyer and I'm on the board, how do I vet this candidate that's going to do a good job? Because as we know, you don't necessarily have to have a law degree to know right from wrong. So
Right. That's a good question. That's a very good question. Well, super delegate has to do with the Democratic National Committee. We got three levels. We got you have your local Democratic Party, you have your state, and you have your national. Super delegates are basically elected officials who, during convention time, make a decision about who the next nominee for president will be. At our level, we right now we operate at the local level with our county party. So we make sure that our voice as is heard in the county party when it comes to dealing with our issues. Now, you can't be yesterday doing your research on candidates. You can't do that. You got to have quite an experience. You have to have built a relationship with these folks, and you have to have been around for quite a while to kind of just know the vibe that comes along with folks who are running for office. You can kind of pretty much tell if they are there for a paycheck or if they are there to actually do some work. You know what I'm saying? So when you vetting a candidate, you want to vet a candidate. You want to look, at the overall picture. You want to look down the line and not just what's in front of you to make sure that, hey, you know what, this might not go well with some folks, but in the long run, we can definitely see opportunities, for our community based on what we see behind with this person's record and so forth.
just a quick follow up.
Yes, sir.
My basic background is I'm an actor. So
Oh,
I've been to hundreds of interviews. So if I
right.
go in front of your board and I tell you the right thing, hey man, we like the Dallas Cowboys or the Houston Texans, what's what? When I went through this process before, I
Uh-huh.
just saw a bunch of people that knew each other,
Uh-huh.
already had the game fixed, and it was just, hey, this is our guy, whatever. The person had no qualifications whatsoever other than they are a long-standing, it's my turn to go get the money.
Mm-hmm.
And we know
Mhm.
politics does that,
That's true. That's true. I totally agree. I totally agree. When we talk about politics, we talk about like the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is an institution. It's like a car that needs a driver. You know what I mean? People make up the Democratic Party. It's not something that functions on its own. You understand what I'm saying? So let's talk about African Americans. I'm gonna say for the elected individuals and officers in the organization I belong to, that I'm president of, they have a lot of experience in a lot of areas, so they're able to filter out, where I might miss something, somebody else might get it. You know what I mean? When it comes to this candidate, and because we have that diversity in our backgrounds coming from, various parts of our community, that's what makes it. Makes that quilt work when it comes to making a decision on these type of candidates. Yes, ma'am.
So Donovan actually stole my question. But I want to follow up on that because you said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically who has, I guess you guys have had a relationship with maybe the longest or the better relationship. So I guess my question is it a relationship or is it a friendship? Because to Donovan's point, when your friend comes along, you have an opportunity to give them a job or something, you're going to do that, right? But a lot of times our friends are not the best qualified. And so I guess for me,
Yeah.
I'm stuck on the point or the points that the other two Black candidates or people that could have been endorsed were just as qualified, but the community or the committee or whoever it is decided to give it to the white candidate. I guess that's just throwing me off a little bit, because if they're all on the same playing field, what extra did she have that gave her the endorsement? Because I think of a Black organization, I think it should represent Black people inside and outside of the organization. It should also help Black people, like the DAs who needed that endorsement. And so, is it a friendship or is it a relationship?
Yeah, that's a good question. Me, myself, and as far as I know, most of the folks we have a working relationship with a lot of our elected officials, and it has to do with the standpoint from the issues that are in front of us. One thing you want to have dealing with candidates or elected officials, you want to have access. Beating down the door, setting things on fire, crying wolf doesn't always, get us what we need or the message that we're trying to convey. You want to make sure that you're able to articulate, in intelligent and intellectual fashion. Sometimes now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes every 1,000 years you might have to stand up on the table to make your point. But I'm saying, going back to answer your question, the other two sisters, young ladies who happen to be African American, were just as qualified. Don't get me wrong, but the experience, the depth of experience dealing with the current day we have, I think happened to push her over. Because in 2020, we definitely want to do more than just vote for somebody because they look like us. It has definitely, from a historical standpoint, done damage to us when we've done that. And when we're talking about civil rights in some areas of our messaging and definitely our policies and so forth.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just a real quick follow-up.
Yeah.
Don't white candidates already have enough people endorsing them?
Well, yeah, of course they do. But excuse me, of course they do. But in this, the DA wasn't the only race we did. We had almost 120 races that we did. So it was a variety of candidates that we talked to, and majority of the candidates that we did endorse happened to be African American, and they were of the caliber that we're looking for, that represents our mission and the goals that we're looking for. It's just, I guess some people, they focus on this particular race because it's the district attorney. But let me tell you, we can sit down with her. She happens to be a female. We can sit down with the district attorney and talk about and some of the reforms that's needed, along with the Texas Coalition, Texas Justice Coalition, and some other stakeholders, to make sure that when the state legislature comes into session next year, that's priority one, or with whatever power that the DA has that she can do right now, dealing with commissioners court, and so forth. We can get some of this stuff passed here, but you don't ever want to close off access, to these elected officials, especially when you know that you can work with them.
Real quick question. Here in California, we have.
I see the mountains, man.
yeah, it's hot. It's triple digits today. Here in California, we have a lot of Hispanics out here, right? This used to be Mexico, so no shade on Hispanics.
Right.
Now you have the Black group. You have the thing now. When I ran city council, there was all these different groups: the Asian group, this group, that group. Ain't no way I'm gonna walk into the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and get an endorsement, because the bottom line is I'm not of Hispanic heritage. They just shut us out completely. Why is it that we're the only group that lets everybody else come in and get endorsed, and we shun our own? Because as a matter of fact, Demetria was there. I was the only Black candidate running, and I got no support from the Black organizations. And if we keep doing that, how how are we supposed to change the narrative? Because I'm telling you what these Hispanics are doing here, unapologetically, they said they are taking back their land, neither by hook nor crook. And that's what they're doing. Right. So, I mean, and I know you have a lot of, issues that were down there and stuff. But if I was the president of an organization such as yours, when I was in the military, a quick story, I was in the Air National Guard station in Alaska, and I was a pilot up there. Mm-hmm. The general of the Alaska Air National Guard and the overall general of the Air National Guard in the United States said, units must reflect the community that they come from. 97% of all Air Force flying squadrons are white Caucasian males. I'm one of 3 black men that is on the panel. I'm sitting on the pilot panel. Every time a white panelist came in, I said no. And so one day the colonel comes to me and he goes, why do you keep turning down these candidates? This guy already has a pilot license. He has this. He's General so-and-so's son, whatever it is. I said, because we already have our quota of white guys. We need to start bringing in some blacks, some Asians. 2% of Alaska is black. We couldn't even get 2%. See, so I had to be unapologetic about the mission of what I'm supposed to do, because nothing's going to change if we just keep letting everybody keep coming. So I had to tell that young white candidate, hey, yeah, you're a great candidate, but unfortunately, we need to get our numbers up in this group, and this group. So maybe you can find another unit. When are we going to start doing that?
We have. I mean, when you talk about, the narrative, when you look at the major cities, let's talk about Houston, for example. Houston is very diverse. Most of the judgeships now are over 50% female, majority African American female. We endorsed all of them. Okay. So, I mean, we're not lost. There's nothing lost on endorsing candidates of different color. You want the right people. You want the right mix. It's not saying anything against any of our black candidates at all. I mean, let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about the narrative, for example, how many of us have filled out the census? How many of us have? Thank you. Okay, I was about to say. All right. How many of us? Let me raise my hand too now. How many of us have been talked about redistricting? Because the census. Thank you. The census brings us this economic buildup that we need in our communities. And you look at the census, most Americans, withstanding the few low-income areas we still do have, live in the suburbs. So our issues are the same, but they're different. I mean, we are very complex. And so when we start talking about the narrative, we have to make sure that we frame the debate also when it comes to that, because we scrutinize to a certain degree these candidates that come before us. We don't disqualify them because, hey, we got too many of us. We don't do no affirmative action plan with our own people when we're talking about endorsing and screening them. It's who's got the experience, who's qualified, who's best to convey what we're talking about from day one, and won't change it or dilute it or let anyone, tell them that this is what y'all going to get without. We need that person that's going to stand on that table if necessary for us, when we send them there. So that's why we are very critical with some of the candidates that we send. Now, what we do also do with some of the African American candidates, that the very few that have not made, we talk to them and we coach them and we ask them, what is it that you would like to see, when it comes to community issues, because not all candidates are the best candidates. When they come before, some people don't screen well. Some folks don't know anything about what's going on, and frankly, we've had one or two that basically we could tell that they were just there for a check, and just a notch on their belt as if they were at the rodeo. You know.
I'm gonna say this here about this, and then I'm gonna answer my question. First of all, whether it's the coalition or HBAD or whoever,
Mm-hmm.
nobody should be on the screening committee that has a financial tie to any candidate. On your screening committee,
Mm-hmm.
there is somebody with a financial tie to the district attorney. So I know that they endorsed that person just because they were finna make some money off of them. Now, you as the president, I just gave you a nugget for you to go back in, look at your
Mm-hmm.
process, and I believe I can't tell you what to do because I'm a member of the group too. I gotta fall under you. That if
Mm-hmm.
you are on the screening committee,
Yeah.
you should not have any ties to any
Yeah.
candidate. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like screenings. I ran for school board. I don't feel you can get to know a candidate in 15 minutes. I don't believe that. I told people when I ran for school board, I am not what you want. I am exactly what you need. If you don't do this in 2 years, this is what's gonna happen. And in 2 years, I look like a prophet. I
Mm-hmm.
look like a prophet. So the thing is I think people need to look at how they do the process for screening. You got to have more time to get to know these people. Because I'm going to be honest with you, whether they black or white, some of these people can camouflage
Mm-hmm.
so well that they are actually dumb as a bag of rocks. And you'll never figure it out in 15 minutes. Now, I want to talk to the president of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats about the harvesting of votes. In the city of Houston and Harris County right now, we seem to have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We seem to have a major problem. But for some strange reason, the upper level politicians are pushing for mail-in ballots. And I have documentation, I have proof that they cheated in the last election. We know they do it every year. So what is your position? And you can only go by speculation. You don't know if any of the stuff that we have or what's been put out there is actually true. But if we have a history of harvesting the vote, then what's your position as the president of your organization when it comes to an issue like that?
When it comes to harvesting votes, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I have no knowledge of that, of any issues like that coming before us. This is something that's kind of new. I've heard about it before, but we never really, looked into that. You know, so but when you ask me my position on it, no, I think that's wrong, and I think it's illegal. For people to do something like that. If they are harvesting vote. Now, when you say harvesting vote, be a little more specific. What do you mean when you say harvesting
When
the
they
vote?
when they cheating on them early ballots, they filling out the ballots for the people. They ain't supposed to do it. They mailing them. That's a violation of the law. All the things that they do in the early ballot process, and I'm gonna put it out there that they've been doing for the last 20 years in Harris County on the Black Democratic side.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know anything about mail-in ballots as far as the process. I know the process, but as far as working with any groups that do that, we don't do them. That's not a concentration. We concentrate more on early voting and definitely getting folks involved with the Harris County Democratic Party itself.
Well,
Our job is to inform and empower and educate folks about how the Democratic Party works.
yeah. Well, you
So
know what?
we might teach about that, but as far as working with groups who actually have, I don't know anything about it.
You're one of the only
Individual groups.
groups that I was interested in joining. You were only one of the only groups that I was interested in joining because of the structure and I see with you at president, we can make some moves. Now, when you mention the Harris County Democratic Party, let me tell you something, young man.
Yeah.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. That's how I feel. It all rises and falls on leadership. I would love for you to tell the world about the scathing emails or the scathing letters that you sent due to the miscarriage of justice dealing with the Harris County Democratic Party when it came to candidate Brittany Morris. I would love for you to tell them how you wrote the hottest letter when you figured out that we might have some residency issues when it came to Jared Davis? Because if we're going to sit in these seats, we're going to call a spade, even if there is a spade. It's work that's been going on with the Harris County Democratic Party. They attacked Brittany for residency issues, but yet I go to Jerry's house yesterday and it's a vacant lot.
Mm. So
my thing, if you work with them, when the last time you check your home girl over there at the Harris County Democratic Party?
That's a real good issue, you know, that you raised right there. So what we're going to do is be talking with the party chair to look at, you know, some infrastructure issues, you know, and people in place to make sure that, you know, if there's some training that needs to be done when it comes to that, because there are individuals who particularly look at this and that mistakes have been made in the past, you know, also. So we want to be hands-on with it to make sure that we don't have to revisit these type of issues again when it comes, you know, to it, and to work with the state legislature and making sure that the law is transparent, you know, and doesn't get lost in translation when it comes to, you know, the interpretation of it. You know.
All right, this is my last question.
Okay.
Accountability, brother.
Yes, sir.
You sure you ready for this hot seat? Accountability.
Amen.
You have a person that is your accountability chair.
Yeah.
That the world has watched for the last 2 weeks sell out her community like I've never seen in my life. As a member of your organization, whether we're on, like my coach used to tell us, you're a representative of this school, whether you at school or whether you anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
If you to miss accountability, how do you do? I think you were held more accountable than Rodney Ellis when you did your interview. I think you were held more accountable than Lily Sector when they did the interview with Lily. But the issue that I have is somebody who can sell out the community, televised. Mr. President, how does your board feel? Because I will file a formal complaint about the removal of your accountability chair and putting somebody in that seat that's actually going to hold these public officials accountable.
Well, you know, President Barack Obama and the police officer that arrested they sat down for beer. So maybe we can sit down for beer or something and talk about some internal stuff, you know, like family. You know, because sometimes family disagree. If we have a disagreement, you know, among family, let's try to talk about it first. You know, let's let cooler heads prevail, and let's see what we can come up with, you know, where we both can exist, you know, in the same space. You know?
But I'm gonna remind you of this, and I'm gonna turn it over. This is a quick comment. Did you ever see the movie Above the Rim?
I did, loved it. I imagine myself being
You remember when they was in the graveyard, both the brothers?
Oh yeah, yes I do.
Remember, Pac told him sometimes family ain't family.
Yeah.
Demetri.
Okay, so regarding the accountability chair, I mean, it sounds like there's some, I don't want to say chicanery because I don't know if any, you know, money mishaps or anything like that has gone on, but something is definitely going on. And so when we say, you know, let's all sit together and try to figure it out, I'm one of those people, I'm not going to come sit down with you if we're not going to tell the truth. Like, we're not going to go back and forth over, you know, oh, I didn't say that and I didn't do that. No, we need to come to the table and be honest because, you know, people in the positions that everybody seems to be in, it's actually hurting the people. You know, so it almost makes you wonder, well, what did you take this role for? Did you take it to, you know, just help yourself? Or did you actually take it to help people? And so, I mean, if they're in like with the whole ballot harvesting thing, I saw the video. I'm way here in California and I saw the video. And there's some clear, it was clear because the lady, the senior citizen in the video says, baby, is that legal?
Yeah.
And the volunteer who collected the ballot who we saw and heard, help her fill it out and told her what to do, says, oh, yes, it's legal. And I'm paraphrasing at this point, it's legal. And so it's like, either some ballot harvesting going on or it's not. I mean, because I'm a constituent and I hate, I'm not saying this is you, but I hate when politicians, it's like, I know what I saw. I know what I hear. And so to hear people say, well, we don't know it. No, I don't think that was going on. It's like, so what, am I crazy? Or is it like there's some smoke and mirrors, some computer generators? So like, what is it? Is it ballot harvesting or is it not? Not the gray area. Either it is or it ain't. Right? I know you probably saw the video. So from what you see, would you say it is or it's not ballot harvesting?
Well, I haven't. I've seen a lot of videos, but I haven't seen the video that you're talking about. But when it comes to ballot harvesting, it's an issue that we're going to have to look at and we're going to have to address. It's not, a focus necessarily or a priority that we have been talking about until pretty much, this year and so forth. Because remember, we have a plethora of issues in the Black community, from AIDS, and then you can go all the way left over, and then we got, Corona going on, and we happen to be the highest percentage that happens to be dying from Corona and so forth, So, I mean, we got some major priorities that we definitely need to look at, and we have to prioritize to make sure that we are full frontal in the next state legislature and as Congress and talking with our congressional folks. I definitely will bring that up, and as something we can look at and make a priority as far as to make sure that our elections are clean and they are held, definitely, from a more turpitude and so forth. But we've definitely put an eye on it, because we definitely need to know who are those who are involved with definitely the ballot by mail, the mail-in ballot programs and so forth, and move from there, I think your volume.
Sorry. Let me ask this, and once again, I appreciate you coming on because I know it's not easy playing hardball, if you will. But how is it that I know, and I've seen the video, and I, heard about the key players that are involved in ballot harvesting? How is it that I know that and you don't know that? And then my second question is, when you look at the video and you get all the information you need, what's going to happen?
Because politics is like everybody's got a role, just like a basketball team. You got a shooting guard, you got a power forward. In politics, you don't want to cover the whole spectrum of politics because you want to accomplish anything. That's why our focus as a club or organization, as individuals, is we focus on party politics. That means the process, the nuts and bolts of the party. We need Black folks to be involved with the party. These programs are subsequent of what goes on, as far as getting out the vote and making sure that we elect the right folks, in office and so forth. So that's what I'm saying. As far as a priority, we can definitely pick that up and look at it and see what we can do from there, from a policy perspective, and so forth. But our main goal is to make sure that, for example, you become a precinct chair, hopefully an election judge, so that you can teach the folks in your area, what it is about the process and keep them informed of what's going on. If we get too far into a lot of these issues, guess what? You're going to be up at night. And that's not my job. My job is to make sure that I make it to work the next day. I don't stay up all night worrying about everything or things that I can't do anything about. But that is definitely a priority that we're going to look at. The general talked about accountability and so forth. We're going to look at it. Let's talk about it. And I'm letting you know that because I don't know everything, and I never profess to do. I only know what I know.
Now I'm gonna be tough on you with this now.
Okay. Well, let me just finish this real quick.
Go ahead.
I know as a child, when I would ask my mama something and she said, "We'll see," and let me see, I knew that meant no, or it ain't gonna happen. And so I'm just because I don't live there. So I'm just because I see the comment section and they going in. So let's say, again, once you find out there's been something wrong done, like what is the law, the policies, what does it say needs to happen? Like, because we keep hearing, and I get it, you got to be, in the middle here because you don't know all the facts, but like, what's going to happen? It's like we see in New York, the NYPD, which is nothing new. They are whooping black folks' butts. Right. And it's frustrating to hear the chief or, whoever, well, I know what the video said and we saw, but we gonna look into it. We saw another Negro take an ass whooping. What else is there to know? So, like, if you get all the ducks in a row and you find out there is some mishaps going on, what is going to happen? Because voting starts at the top and then everything else comes after that, right? So what's going to happen? And then I'm gonna be quiet.
Well, what happens? Let's start with shows like this one, for example, that brings attention, to a lot of these issues and so forth. And so, when we convene again and when we talk about, we put our agenda together. This is, these are some of the issues that we're going to be talking about to make sure that we get a clear understanding, and that, if we have to, what they call it, come to Jesus, to make sure that we on the straight and narrow so we can move forward. Because one thing we don't want to do, particularly in the party, you don't want to sit still when it comes to these issues. So I understand exactly, where you're coming from and so forth. So it's not something that, I'm not trying to give you a political answer to say, hey, look, I'm just going to bounce this off to the hierarchies and see, what they're going to do about it. No, we're going to have a straight-laced talk, about it, and see, where the buttons are pushed, to make sure that we take care of these issues,
Well, it all rises and falls on leadership. And, I'm an education advocate. So when I sit down with a principal, I remind them one thing. I'm going to give you the best advice I can give you. I know you're ex-military, but I'm going to give you something that may help you.
Yeah.
It is your job to know everything that you don't know tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You took the job. It is your job to know everything that you don't know tonight.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Donovan?
Yeah, definitely took some great mental notes. Appreciate you guys.
No problem.
No. I'm gonna tell you this, Tim. I'm serious. It takes a lot of courage to come on shows and just get, hammered with, questions that you might not know the answer. I mean, a lot of people won't do it. A lot of people won't. If Dimitri will tell you, nobody wants to come on my show. Nobody. Okay. But we know as military men that the buck stops the person in charge, NCOIC, the OIC.
Right.
That.
Yeah.
So, so sometimes, you were saying like you got party rules that you have to go by when you vet candidates, but then there's other things that happen, and then you're saying we're going to have a sit down. Can you really have it both ways? I mean, the military, either you're right or you're wrong. We don't operate in gray.
Right.
So, I'm just giving you a little, some little ideas to think about. If there's a malfeasance going on in the party, and you have guidelines and rules, it's cut and dry. Then, I used to tell guys getting that Article 15. The colonel wants a certain outcome. There's nothing I can do for you at this level other than read you your rights, tell you what you can do. That's about it. But a great thing. But I think that's one of the major problems in our politics. We give leeway to one thing when it's not advantageous for us, and then when it's advantageous for the party, we lean that way. I mean, there's got to be a segue where there's one standard so that we don't get confused as a voter.
So let me ask you a question, Terrence. It's a hot seat, baby, but you're doing good. You're doing good.
Oh, thank you. I got my rag. I'm wiping.
Do you recommend during your screening process? It's like a two-pronged question. Do you recommend that candidates show up for the screening to possibly get the endorsement? Now that's a trick question. Now you know something coming after.
No, no, we don't. No, it's a thorough process. We invite them, we
Hmm.
vet them, we do research on them, and we screen them every time as if they running. It's just the first time they're running. You know, to make sure. And we have a report card. We do a report card on them. You know, when they're
So,
there.
so if I'm brand new to the political process
Uh huh.
and I come to your organization,
Hmm.
how many times am I going to go before that screening committee?
One time, unless you're in a runoff.
So can I ask you a question? Did Commissioner Rodney Ellis go through your endorsement process?
No, no,
Did he
he did not.
receive the endorsement?
No, he did not.
Who ended up with that endorsement?
It was Maria.
Maria T. Jackson.
Maria T. Jackson got the endorsement. Yeah,
And I used that because I knew I was there that night.
yeah.
Is there any race where somebody did not show up for screening but ended up with the endorsement?
No, they did not.
Nothing was changed on the floor.
No, sir. No, sir. And we're talking about Brittany Morris. Brittany Morris was advised not to seek any endorsements from any of the organizations. I'm just using that race for an example. And we did not endorse it. They did not show up. We did not endorse it. We did not endorse
Now here's my last question on this round.
it. Hmm.
Why is it? And I don't. And y'all got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Why is it that the same Negroes in your organization is the same Negroes in H-Bad, Houston Black Area Democrats, and
Hmm.
it's like we got 4 or 5 of these groups, and it's all the same people.
Right.
What are we actually accomplishing? Because that makes me feel like we've created a monopoly.
Hmm.
Now we endorse candidates, and the same people have the same power spread out throughout the city, just in different organizations.
Mm. Yeah. That's fog on the window. That's what that is. That's fog on the window. Uh, the appearance might be given, but that's not the truth. Now you have in Harris County, we are the only county in Texas right now that has two, the only city that has two African American organizations that are
Okay.
both clubs with the local party, Harris County Democratic Party, for example. Uh, People are just active. People want to be involved. You know, we do have a lot of members that they want to be involved. They're just not able to attend the meetings. You know, so we keep them informed through social media and so forth, and they get involved with what they get in. They want to get involved. If it's an issue that's close to their heart, they'll come out, or they'll donate their time, or they'll send in a donation for it, or they'll leave a comment and say, "Hey, I'm with you in spirit," and so forth. We got folks overseas who are members of the Texas Coalition Black Democrats. So people just, when it comes to um, being involved, we're just saying part of politics, but a lot of these folks are involved with a lot of the NAACP. They're involved with the uh, other groups, out there also. They just want to be involved. That's the best answer. But as far as the influence, and so forth, I can definitely tell you that yes, people give their opinion, and people have the right to make a decision about what they believe in. Every organization has some form of undue, influence that's circling around, like amongst the members and so forth. That's something that comes with the territory. But we just have to make sure that um, we are ethical in our approach when it comes to everything else.
I think that on a lot of levels,
Hmm.
we lack real integrity when we deciding who we picking for these positions. Um,
Hmm.
I look at my city. I look at everything that's going on in my city. I see the communities. You know, where I went and met y'all that night, I joined is in it, I think it was in Fifth Ward or somewhere over there. You
Yeah.
know, I ride these communities. And I just want to ask the question that everybody want to know. And Demetri and Donovan, you can follow me up on this. Why is it that we continue to endorse and support African American politicians who ain't doing a damn thing for our communities? I live in Houston. I'm in my communities every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm not understanding how we got somebody in office for 15, 20 years. And yet my community looks just like it looked 15, 20 years ago. If it wasn't for gentrification, we probably wouldn't have any changes. So why do we keep supporting them, endorsing these people like you named the NAACP? I would not support James Douglas in nothing that he does because you tried to take over African American schools and turn them into charter schools. And anybody rocking with Douglas, I got a problem with them. That's just the question I got for you. Why do we keep supporting these people who ain't doing nothing for our communities?
Wow. I mean, I think that's a loaded question right there. It just depends. I mean, we have a lot of officials.
That ain't doing
Not
nothing.
well. We have to look at their agenda. We have to, look at their agenda. We have to make our agenda their agenda.
But if
And
it ain't
then
the black agenda, it ain't mine.
right, right. That's true. I totally agree with that. But we definitely have to be, the power reveres for our community and letting them know the track records, of the folks who are representing, us in these different positions. And if they are not, yes, that's right. You said the buck stops. We should hold ourselves accountable to make sure that we do the work that we are elected for. So yeah, let's let our folks know as you go through these communities and our different roles in these communities. Let them know what works and who's working and who's not.
Exactly. Demetri?
Well, yeah, once again, thank you for being in the hot seat and all of that.
Yeah.
So I did do a little research on an organization, and it says basically you're a club that is of public service, and it's a club that works for you. So I'm assuming you is the public and all of that. And I'm with Gary. I mean, how do you, not you per se, but the organizations like it continuously endorse people who are absolutely no earthly good for Black people. To his point, we have some people who sit in these elected positions for years and terms and terms and terms. And there's like absolutely, but there's a comparison or a contrast rather. You go to the white communities, and I know it's not all the politicians' fault. A lot of it is on the voters and the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to see these some of these other communities, the white communities, let's say, and streets are nice, and there's no garbage around. They're getting things done. And so, if you're an organization for the people, how is it that people who are not for the people keep getting elected and endorsed? Like, and let me ask you this: is it yes or no? Is it due to money? Is money the deciding factor here? Because we know a lot of times candidates who are in these seats a long time, they have a war chest.
Yes.
So does money do the talking, or is it really that's the best person for the job, even though the job ain't getting done?
No, I think civics, they don't teach civics in school no more.
No,
People are not close to the process like they used to be. A lot of us have grown up and we've gotten busy, with being adults and our everyday issues that we have. So politics and voting, that's not something that, we're focused on. We're worried about paying our light bill, and making sure that the rent is covered and so forth. So when you're trying to get the message out and you're trying to make sure that people go to the polls and that they vote, you have to make sure that you connect with them when you out there. I can't go out there and give them the traditional standard. Hey, listen, the Democratic Party works for you. We have to get creative when we're talking to our voters out there. We have to talk to them about the criminal justice system. Has your family been directly affected by it? That gives us 60 seconds, to talk to somebody who's on their way to work. or somebody who's got something else that's in front of them that they're trying to get to, and so forth. So it's a lot of factors when it comes to, these folks getting reelected. You want to raise the voting levels. That's why we talk a lot about the get out the vote efforts, this door to door and connecting folks with the system. That's why we email and keep folks informed through social media to try to generate that, and so forth, so that we can have a competition. We can generate competition in these races with some of these folks that definitely don't need to be there, or at least have lost their way. My question, are some of these folks redeemable? You know, we don't just want to read what we heard on the news cycle about somebody and then go after. We want to connect with them and see if they just happen to not know that, hey, do you know that you are representing, our community and not the special interests, or other factors that keep them, that drown out our messaging, for them.
And let me ask this, Donna, before you go. So, I just want to, just make a statement, because you said, if you're out and about in the community, you're talking to people, let's say somebody's a victim of crime, you ask them, are you a victim of crime or whatever that comes up, and they say yes. If you ask me that, my next question is going to be, well, what are you going to do about it? Are you asking me because you just want my vote, or are you asking me because once you get elected or whatever the situation is, are you actually going to take my issue and fix it? Because we've all been voters, and we've heard and asked, people say, well, I'm here for you. Just tell me what it is I can do. Because I'm going to tell you something about my friend here, Donovan. Now I'm going to be quiet. Donovan was running for city council. He did not win the seat, but I'm going to tell you, I was with this man in 100-degree weather, knocking on people's doors. And not only did he knock on people's doors, and one time we went to his lady's house, and I kid you not, she had a big gaping hole in her roof to where it would rain, and she had a bucket to catch the rain. Mm-hmm. He went and made sure the people at City Hall fixed her situation. And he didn't even he wasn't even on the seat yet. So he didn't go asking her, what are your issues? And say, okay, I just wanted to know. He went and actually did something about it. So I would just, press upon anybody who's running, stop asking people, what can I do for you, if you're not actually going to do it. So
I totally agree. I totally agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that, Demetria.
Final words, Donovan.
Man, again, Terry, thank you for your service to the country.
Sure.
Man, I've been in the hot seat plenty of times, but I'm that militant guy, so nothing really touch me. I'd be just cursing back at him, whatever. Maybe that's why I didn't get elected. I don't know. But I'm gonna give you the best advice I can give you. Because I know you're going to do great things, and I think you're looking at a rising star in the party. Demetria K is moving down to Houston. Be careful. Be careful. All right, brother. Look, thank you again for coming on the show. Again, I know there's problems everywhere, but I personally agree that if we're going to put a black tag in any of our organizations, it should be only for black people. That's just me. So
Gotcha. And run again, Donovan. Don't let this be your last time. Keep at it, man.
I wanna thank you, big dog, for coming on. You at the local level. I know my man Carol Robinson is at the state level and doing some great things. That's one of the reasons that I joined, because I looked at the leadership and I looked at the structure of the thing, and I think it's a better fit for me than some of the other groups that I could have joined. Gotcha. I think that you're gonna do fine. I think that as a leader, some days you're gonna have to get out there in that water, and you're gonna have to walk them walks by yourself. You're gonna have to stand up for the Brittany Morrises. You're gonna have to call out the Jared Davises. That's all it boils down to. And for those that don't like it, then don't come here to get endorsed, because you don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm built. So I want to thank you, brother, for coming on.
Thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all very much. Really appreciate
it. We really, really appreciate you. And of course, I thank you for your service to the country.
Sure.
You didn't have to.
And you too, Donovan.
Do that at all. So I tell y'all that tomorrow night, I get to sit down with my two friends, with a guy that I've worked with in the community many, many years. No longer in politics, but he'll forever be my city councilman, Dwight Borkins. Will be in the hot seat tomorrow night. Dwight, I'm gonna bring it, bro. Friend or no friend, I'm gonna bring it, dog. Tomorrow
I'll
night.
take care now.
Hold on a second, man. But thank you so much for coming, my brother. Say tomorrow night, I got the OG in the building. Dwight Borkins gonna stop by the war zone. We're gonna catch up with him and see what he been working on in his new position over in the Harris County District Attorney's Office. But I want to thank Terrence Skanks for coming on. My good friend Donovan Sadiq, Demetri K, and I am the 5-star general. Man, go tell your peoples, when you sit down with us, it get real fast, man. Ain't no faking over here, dog. I see y'all tomorrow night, bro.